Hello and welcome to the joint Glendale City Council and Housing Authority meeting for June 28th, and it's being called to order at 3:06 p.m. Mr. Clerk, may we have roll call for the City Council?
Councilmember Agajanian.
Present.
Brotman.
Here.
Devine.
Here.
Najarian.
Here.
And Mayor Kasakian.
Here.
And now may we have roll call for the Housing Authority, please?
Sorry, Member Agajanian.
Present.
Agajanian.
Present.
Devine.
Here.
Kasakian.
Here.
Najarian.
Here.
Parazian. And Chair Brotman.
Here.
Thank you. May we have your report?
The agenda for the Tuesday, June 28th, 2022 joint public meeting of the City Council and Housing Authority was posted on June 22nd, 2022 on the bulletin board outside City Hall.
Thank you. Now, there are two items on this agenda, the second of which is a closed session. Legal counsel has instructed us that we need to recess to closed session before coming back to consider the first item. Can you please read item number 2?
It was closed session, two-way conference with real property negotiators, agency negotiators. Attending the closed session are Rubik Olanian, Mike Garcia, Jillian Van Meiden, John Tuktalian, Peter Zovek, Mike Fortney, Michelle Shanazarians, and Jason Bradford. Instructions to the negotiators will concern the price and terms for the acquisition of property number 1, location 332-346 with Cerritos, West Cerritos, and 341 Miraloma. Negotiating parties, Keflonia Holdings LLC, property number 2, location 426 Piedmont Avenue. Negotiating parties, Merge Senior Services LLC.
Thank you. And Mr. City Attorney, do you expect, or which of these items do you expect us to report out on?
Mr. Mayor, we do not anticipate reporting out on neither of these items.
And if there's no other comments from the city manager or anyone else, we will recess to closed session and return after we are done to continue with this joint council and housing authority meeting agenda. Thank you. All right. It looks like, sorry, we had a funny ringtone here. The dice. All right, so let's resume the meeting. We're back in session. And this is a joint city council and the housing authority meeting. As I mentioned, we just came back from the closed session recess. Let's have item number 1 read into the record.
Community development regarding amended and restated letter of loan commitment with Link Housing and National Corps. A, council resolution of appropriation in the amount of $6 million for additional funding of 515 Pioneer Drive. And B, housing authority motion to authorize the executive director to execute an amendment and restated letter of loan commitment.
City Manager?
Yes, good afternoon. Mayor Kasakian, members of City Council, Chair Brotman, members of the Housing Authority. This project that will be presented to you is one of the 3 affordable housing projects that the Housing Authority has already approved, and they're in the works. This particular project at 515 Pioneer Drive will provide 340 units, affordable housing units for our seniors and small families in Glendale. Due to the cost of construction going up, especially in California, there's a need for adjusting the funding, and staff, after their presentation, will recommend that the Housing Authority and City Council allocate additional funding so that we can move forward with this affordable housing project. With that, I'm going to invite Mike Fortney, our Principal Housing Project Manager, to provide the presentation.
Like a
Mike, it looks like we're having a technical difficulty on the
eye
screen there.
test.
Light effect there.
Yeah.
If there's any subliminal messages being flashed on the screen.
Okay, thanks.
Wow.
Give us a minute or two. Somebody's going to come up and look at it.
Can watch that.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Mayor and council members, can we take a quick recess? They're working on it from downstairs.
We'll
Okay.
recess briefly for hopefully more than a few minutes, but we'll stand at recess. Thank you. Turn off your mic.
Z czym go dziś to
Thanks. You're live. We are back, Mayor.
Great. So we're back after that brief break, and Mr. Fortney, you have the floor.
Okay, great. Well, good afternoon, Mayor, City Council, Housing Authority Chair, and Housing Authority Board members. Mike Fortney, Principal Housing Project Manager for the city. So the project today we're talking about is an amended or restated letter of loan commitment with Link Housing and National Corps. And before I forget, there are folks from both Link Housing and National Corps in the audience if you would like to ask them questions after. And this is for the 515 Pioneer Drive project that you've previously approved through a letter of loan commitment. It's a 340-unit project for extremely low, very low, and low-income seniors and small families. You approved the letter of loan back on August 10th and provided $22.4 million to the project, which at the time got this to a almost $66,000 per unit subsidy, which is far and away the lowest subsidy we've ever had on a project. Since that loan commitment, the developers have gone out and they've secured $5 million from Cal HFA through their mixed income program. They got close to $12 million in state tax credits, a little over $65 million in federal tax credits, and almost $75 million in bonds. Since January 22, I say nationwide, but most certainly in California, construction costs just since January through June have shot up 10.3%, and the interest rates have gone up about 150 basis points. So what that translated for Pioneer, it created a $12.3 million gap on the project. The reason we're here before you today is because Link and National Core received all those credits and bonds on the 15th of June. They have till July 6th to accept them. And they can't accept them with such a large gap on the project. So they are asking for the Housing Authority to provide $6 million in additional funding, and they will come up with the remaining $6.3 million either through some additional funding that they find and contributing their fee to the project. So this is the kind of a breakdown to kind of talk a little bit or in more detail of the numbers we're looking at. The interest rate increases had the effect of decreasing our perm loan. So our perm loan is projected to be $5.58 million less than what we had anticipated. Actually, there's some good news. When the project gets more expensive, you're actually eligible for more federal tax credits. So that went up. So you can see the net change of sources of just over $2 million. But then you look at the costs. Hard costs on this project, 9.34%. The hard cost contingency is a percentage of the hard cost, so that went up. Also because the developer is taking a much higher risk by ponying up basically almost all their developer fee, they thought it prudent to adjust up the contingency from 5% to 6%. Insurance costs increased, and then the construction loan is more expensive. It's more expensive to borrow the money because the 145 basis point increase there. And then soft costs have gone up. The reserves very little, and then TCAC, CLAC costs contributed a very small amount to that gap. So what you're left with there is that $12.3 million gap. Again, they're asking $6 million from us, excuse me, and they will fill the remaining $6.3 million gap through contribution of their fee or some other sources they can go after. And then I broke this down. It's really hard to see, but I thought I would add this slide here just to kind of demonstrate. It is, I apologize, it is difficult to see it. But right now they've got the developer fee, they're already contributing to the project is just under $7 million. If you see developer fee capitalized, that's the fee they would ordinarily get between the time we do the construction financing event and the perm event. They're projecting $7 million that they would capitalize, $7.3 million. So in order to fill this gap, they're down to about $1 million unless they can get additional funding, which it's unheard of for a project, even a modestly sized project, much less a 340 unit project. And then I just point out the developer fee deferred. Deferred fee, in most cases, a fee could be deferred to any kind of milestone, past construction financing event. It could be a C of O, it could be a perm conversion. There's any number of milestones. In this case, that deferred fee is actually post 8609. So this is a project that's already in place, in service. That's when that fee would be paid. So I wanted to add this slide to just give you a little bit more detail on those. So given all that, again, staff's recommendation is to approve a resolution of appropriation, the amount of $6 million, and authorize the executive director to execute an amended restated letter of loan commitment with Link Housing and National Core for the Pioneer project. I'm happy to answer questions, and again, there's members of the Link Housing and National Core team here if you'd like to ask them questions as well.
There is one card submitted from Lincor, and I'll follow up with Clark in just a second, but do any of my colleagues have questions or comments for staff? Councilmember Brotman?
Yeah, just a quick one. So you, I think, mentioned at the beginning about our subsidies are kind of, you said that the subsidies are the lowest, or were the lowest that we've seen on any of our projects. Just for reference, what are some of the others for the current project, Howard and Citrus Crossing? What are those subsidies?
Okay. Well, thank you for the question. And yes, the lowest subsidy prior to this project was, I believe, almost exactly $90,000 a unit, and that was on our Glendale Arts Colony. But the difference on that one, we didn't own the land. So the YMCA actually contributed a long-term lease, so that value is not part of ours. That was the lowest subsidy we've ever had, though, up until Pioneer. Even with the additional $5 million on Pioneer, we're still at about $86,000 a unit. Trying to think, what is the...
How does that compare
to Citrus Crossing?
let's say, Citrus Crossing, some of the other recent projects we've done?
Yeah, Vista Grande Court was pretty low. I think Vista Grande Court was below 120 a unit. Citrus Crossing, we put 16 million into it, and it's 127 units.
Let's see how good you are. Mental math.
I want to make sure, it was 6.1 million in land, 10 million cash, so 16.1. I can't use my calculator.
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
We'll let you.
There was a time, there was a time when I could do that.
How about it? Yeah, it's 100 and something.
Yeah, 16 million, 100, 1, 2, 3 divided by 127 equals 127,000 a unit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we are, yeah. So we're still getting very good bang for our buck here.
Oh, yeah, it's phenomenal. Even with the additional 5 million, we are. And again, largely it's because of the economies of scale. It is a massive project. It's not, it doesn't have the income targeting of some of our other products though too. The average AMI is above 50% on this deal. Whereas Harrower, which is a very expensive project for a number of reasons, its income targeting is, I think, it's an average of 45%. Every percentage on that AMI translates into a lot of money on gaps.
Okay.
Yeah, Mike, I don't see the percentage of increase on the insurance costs on the variance. What is it?
I wish I would have brought my glasses. What is the percent increase on insurance?
Yeah.
I would have to do the math on that.
I mean, do you foresee any more increase on that because it's not indicated?
No, we just, it simply didn't do the calculation. That's all it was. I could do the math. But
That's
no.
okay. That's a,
Okay.
just want to, council members feel safe on that.
Okay. I'm going to bring my reading glasses from now on.
Yeah, I think nothing more from.
Okay. Councilmember Agajanian.
I'm glad that this 505 Pioneer Drive comes to its fruition, and hopefully in 2 years we're going to have 340 units.
We expect to complete in 25. So 2025 December, that this project will complete.
I hope it would be sooner, but anyway,
We do too.
whatever, whenever it would be, that's great because along with the other projects would be a major accomplishment, in my opinion. We never had units, these many units at one time.
Never.
So this is great. I'm glad to see that apparently it comes to ending in good results. And I'm glad that they are here, the representatives of the developer, both projects. So, and I thank them, and hopefully you bring to fruition sooner than 2 years, or at least at 2 years. With that, if it's time to move it, I would like to move that.
One moment. Are there any callers?
Mayor, I have no callers.
Okay, and,
There's a card.
yes, I know. Thank you for the reminder. Ms. Becky Clark, would you like to say a few words on behalf of, welcome.
Thank you so much, Mayor, City Council, Housing Authority. We appreciate you holding this special hearing today. I'm Becky Clark. I am the CEO at Link Housing. I will just tell you who we have here today because I've seen a number of you before, some of you back at the Vista Grande grand opening. We're sorry to be here under these circumstances, but they are unprecedented times. And so let me just, we want to answer all your questions today, make sure you feel comfortable. But I think it's so important that we want to affirm our commitment. As you know, we've worked together as a team to bring Vista Grande forward to all of you. So, we today here I have, let me just tell you who we have. We have CJ Horvath with Link, and then we have Michael De La Torre, Leslie Edwards, Chris Killian, and Ian Rudisil, all here today to answer questions if needed. One of the things I think you all know, and I just want to reaffirm, is that we are truly committed to building a great project for you. And that is important for us to just let you know that we're going to talk about the financials here today and to say that, we have scrubbed the numbers, we have looked at them with, a lot of intensity and recognize that we will do what it takes to make this project happen, to bring it to fruition. As Mike said, we will put our developer fee forward if that's what it takes. We've spent approximately $2 million thus far, just getting ready, and that's just the developer. I also know the city has been spending money to get ready for this project, and so we are all geared up and ready to go. In these unprecedented times with cost increases, both in construction, interest and insurance and other costs, we've been talking to folks at the state, for example, to find out how they can help us mitigate some of these cost increases and also make sure that we're not subject to further. And so one of the things that's happening is we're going to write a check for $900,000 tomorrow, and that will go to lock our rate on our interest rate for construction and perm with California Housing Finance Agency. And that's why the timing is so critical today, because that'll allow us to lock our rate, which they have to have in advance of, which they'll do in advance to try and help us out. That's not typical. We know this is a very impactful project, and we're just anxious to move it forward as quickly as we can. Certainly, we can speak to all the things that Mike did, and I think we're ready for questions. So let me see, Mike and Leslie, you want to come on up? Oh,
There's one question.
okay,
So,
for me.
I have a comment and a question. I really thank you for your commitment, because we are, as you heard Councilmember Agajanian say, we really, really want to see this project come to fruition and ensure that it does.
Yeah.
Is there a possibility, I think I heard in briefing, that you may be able to recoup $2 million from the state, is it?
Well, what we're hoping to do is go after supplemental bond allocation. If there was any other way to bring other dollars to the table, we've talked to the different agencies, and thus far, we don't have a solution, which is why, again, we recognize that it's so important to move forward with this project. We want to make it happen, and if it takes us stepping into the space and putting our developer fee at risk, if that's what it takes, we're willing to do it.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions, comments? Anything from any housing authority members? Okay. If there isn't, then I will entertain action on this item.
Second for
We have a
council.
council and housing authority item.
So for council, it was moved by Councilmember Agajanian, seconded by Councilmember Devine?
And for housing?
Move for the housing.
Well, I'll second the one for housing, but let's have roll call on council first.
Councilmember Agajanian?
Yes.
Brotman?
Yes.
Devine?
Yes.
Najarian?
Yes.
Mayor Kasakian?
Yes.
And for housing?
Authority Member Ajanian?
Yes.
Agajanian?
Yes.
Devine?
Yes.
Kasakian?
Yes.
Najarian?
Yes.
Parasian? And Chair Brotman.
Yes.
All right. Well, I want to thank members of Link for Link Housing for coming. Thank you, Ms. Clark. We really appreciate you coming and being prepared to answer questions, even if there weren't any. We do understand these are unprecedented times. We appreciate that you're partnering with the city on what will undoubtedly be another wonderful project. Thank you.
Thank you. We're thrilled. We're just really excited about this project. So,
Thank you.
thank you so much.
Thank you so much to you. And with that, let's have a motion to adjourn for council.
Move to adjourn.
And for housing?
Move to adjourn.
Second.
All right, we stand adjourned. Thank you.
Now we continue with council?
That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah. Not for us.
Thank you, Alan. Take care. All right, looks like we've switched over. Just saw the city council banner. Okay, we're good to go. Let's have a roll call for council.
Councilmember Agajanian?
Present.
Brotman?
Here.
Devine?
Here.
Najarian? Here. Mayor Kasakian?
Here. Please read the items into the record.
One is closed session, 1A, conference with labor negotiators, the city designated negotiators attending the closed session are Rubik Lanyan, Michael J. Garcia, Jillian Van Meiden, John Toctalian, Amy Martin, Jason Bradford, Carl Provolitis, and Laura Calty. The name of the employee organization is Glendale Police Officers Association. B, conference with labor negotiators, the city designated negotiator attending the closed session are Rubik Lanyan, Michael J. Garcia, Jillian Van Meiden, John Toctalian, Amy Martin, Jason Bradford, and Sylvia Lanzas. The name of the employee organization, Glendale Management Association.
All right, which items do we anticipate reporting out on?
Neither, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, then we will recess to closed session.